you being there is so important to us doing the practice together. Each of us doing it and knowing that we have community and support helps us. S Katie, I think, did I mention that already? Somebody registered named Katie. That's really nice to have you here if you're here or when you're here. Hannah and Joanne from last week, Joanna, others of you join later and during, and I really appreciate it. So perhaps I should have said this earlier while I've been talking, just feeling where your body is touching whatever's below you in the gravitational field, that downward pull. So I have this nice, fairly soft cushion under my thighs, cushion behind my sits bones, a softness of a blanket that put on the rug beneath my feet. And so bringing this focus, we're doing the arriving centering now. So bringing this focus to what we're experiencing in the body, especially how we're experiencing this pull of gravity, this gift of our embodied life here on this planet is that we live in the Earth's atmosphere that keeps us on the ground. There's times purposely we're off the ground, whether we're climbing up to a diving board, but you're still touching something solid there. But when you jump up off the diving board or when you're on an airplane, even though all that is still subject to the gravitational field, so we can still do that. But and as just a few of us of the Earth's population have gotten to experience, if you've gone outside the gravitational blanket, the atmosphere of the earth, we see that bodies float. So we can experience that a little bit in water, in the pool or the lake or the ocean. And that might be a feel for what it would be like if we're not attending to gravity. And one of the benefits of tuning into this is just how maybe you feel this, how the pull, not just down toward the center of the earth, but the attention gets pulled to right here. And sense perhaps in that you may sense um, what words would you give it? I'll try not to influence you by giving you my words first, but as you bring your attention right here, because our experience is likely to be different, could be similar, and we can benefit from sharing those experiences either in that, oh yeah, I feel that we get a validation or we might say, oh, mine is similar but a little different. Or mine is way different. I don't feel that at all. So as I say my words, and you may say your words out loud for yourself so that you get more sensory feedback by the audible sound, I feel a calm, and I did a gesture. I also feel like a gathering of where my attention's been out and bringing it in. My hand gestured that. I feel a rootedness, like I have a place. This is my place. And there's a comfort in that. So that's a lot of words and a gesture. Just a few can be enough. And so what are your truisms? What's your truth for how this gathering of our attention to this spot, and in particular to how we feel our body surface touching whatever surfaces are underneath us. So my one hand is resting on my leg and holding my mug of tea, and that hand has a heavy feeling in the knuckles onto my leg. That's the support. The leg is the support for my hand. And then we may come to feel our breath. And if you like me, you might put your hand on your body, on your chest, or even on your throat, or anywhere that you might sense movement of the breath. And so being present. So whatever position I often suggest, you might be lying down, you might be sitting, leaning back on your chair, you might be sitting on the floor, lying on the floor, or sitting like me, or sitting on a cushion on the floor. Often in a yoga class, you'll get invited to get tall to feel the length in your spine. And I like to leave that for a bit to just really fully accept and embrace the feel of gravity. It's just like it, it's when we're upright, especially it's and sitting upright or standing, it takes there's an effort to be upright. And yet, what I'm finding in this fascination of mine with gravity the last few years is when you really allow yourself to feel it, it's like there are infinite lines coming from any point in space down, all gathering at the center of the earth. And they create this grid that actually makes it easy because when you just align yourself, the gravitational lines hold you. And harder to feel this lying down, but it is there. Sitting or standing, there is an equal and opposite force of gravity. I call it levity. I don't know what the scientific term for it would be. Maybe it's considered just one force, two directional. I have to look that up. So there can be a levity where, especially when we feel our breath, we allow it to allow that buoyancy to be there, even if you don't feel like massive, big, massive expansion of the lungs or ribs. Just feeling that there's this gravitational pull downward and a buoyant upward levity. And I'm going to leave that for our arrival. You can always come back, ground, breath. I left out one of my usual cues. I'll bring it in a little bit. Let's come to the mini movement part. Bring our hands, palms together. Just press them together and release. This mudra, this gesture, is often called namaste in the yogic world. And we're pressing and releasing, but then I'm going to work with one hand. Hope you can see this. I'm taking my hand like I'm carrying a tray. So flexing the wrist back and spreading the fingers wide. So especially thumb and pinky are spread. And then with my free hand, the other hand, I'm pulling the thumb toward the back of the arm, lower arm, as I keep pulling opposite way with the pinky for a few breaths. And then the index finger and keep pulling the pinky and thumb. Let's see if I can get some contrast in opposite directions. And then the middle finger, like pulling it back. It's a little painful. Stay short of the pain and just stay in the stretch that feels good and you're breathing and keep the thumb and pinky tips opposite each other. Finally, the pinky, ooh, you could move in and out of it, not so much bouncing, maybe. Just gentle, nice. And then, actually, let's just pause and place the hands down somewhere easy, restful. Mine are on my lap. And notice whatever you might notice about your body, about your thinking, your feeling, your skin, your lower back, your breath. And certainly one hand and arm and even shoulders may feel different. And then let's take sort of the opposite of holding the tray and uh, bending the wrist. And again, the thumb and tip of the thumb and pinky are far from each other. And I pull the thumb toward the forearm, but pull apart with the pinky, just a breath or two. And then the index finger. And keep your shoulders relaxed, keep breathing, keep your jaw relaxed. Middle finger. And notice anything else. Keep yourself aware that you're grounded. So while we're focusing some considerable attention on the hand, the thumb and pinky, the feel of the stretch being just nice, not too intense, we're also aware of our whole body and what might be around us, the sounds coming to us. All right, release that. Once again, let your hands, one hand has been doing an assisting work, the other has been getting like Thai yoga therapy, Thai yoga massage. So, shall we do the other hand? Why don't we? Let's take an imaginary tray, thumb and pinky far from each other. It's amazing how nice this can feel. We don't think about the work that our hands and fingers do, holding our phones, typing, gardening, opening, closing things, lifting boxes. Upkeep as you pull each finger back, keep the thumb and pinky apart from each other. That'll just make a nice shape for reaching some particular um, ligaments of the and muscles of the fingers and hand. I have to keep reminding myself to stretch the thumb and pinky apart, and then I remind you, oh, there it is again. They collapse. They just collapse. It's just a shape to explore. Not that the collapsed one would also be interesting, but it adds extra bonus point parts. Oh, I'm gonna pause after that. And you can give words that focusing practice, which is I also called it an inquiry practice, where we just become more aware of the language we give to our feelings, thoughts, experiences. And then the opposite way, like we make a goose head or something, but then stretch out the like some sort of plant, Venus flytrap or something. And again, thumb and pinky tips pull apart and bring the thumb toward the forearm. And then the looking at the time, index finger, middle finger, fourth finger, and pinky. And release. And you might be just ready from here, not to cut this experience short. Let's linger. The hands may have a quite a potent feel, like as if they're lit up in the body. And so you may be right ready, right where you are, to slide into meditation. Or if, like me, I need to just, I feel I need to shift my pelvis a little bit, but just do so lightly, easily. And we'll segue into about a 7-minute meditation. And I'll signify the beginning of that here with my bell, though I doubt you'll hear it well, and a bow. And so once again, you can arrive, take the steps to arrive, the feel of ground, gravity, complemented with buoyancy. Set yourself up so that you can be comfortably still. I needed an adjustment right there as well. You might notice because it looks prominent in the picture here that I hold this particular mudra. That's not essential, but It's just a way of holding the hands. I'll address that another time. You might be familiar with it. Noticing your breathing, and just the simplicity of being here. Last week, I shared a Zen story that I learned from my teacher. And just in a nutshell, meant to talk about that more, but I went on a different track. Um, that anything that's happening, and in particular, this is a story of something seemingly cruel or conflictual is happening. Maybe there's even a different way to see it, but that anything that's happening is here for it's for us, for our benefit. So I'll just let you have that perhaps floating in the background as we simply rest as awareness. So sometimes what we encounter can be very challenging in stillness or in life. Here in this practice of the stillness, silence, we can notice how we respond and as best as we can bring compassion, humor, perhaps forgiveness to ourselves. When you feel words or stories coming, which was incorporated as part of our earlier practice, for this portion, you may engage with them for a little bit. Just give them an audience, and then imagine letting them, suggesting we meet again later. As you just come back to this seat, these hands, these feet. A few more breaths together. And we bow. And of course, you're welcome to continue meditating, to come together, to come to a close is a significant practice as to signify this practice is not separate from the rest of life, that we go on to our next task, whether you meditate for 7 minutes or an hour or 20 minutes, and that there's a change, and yet we can bring the essence of the meditation practice into our other activities off the cushion. I'll just leave you with a final thought and reflection on, especially the meditation part of the practice, is that, but it's also part in the focusing and giving words to what we're experiencing. And something I didn't emphasize today was to slow down, to really feel and connect that the feeling gets exactly the right word, that we even speak slower, or you might write. You could do that as a writing practice. And that helps to take it again out of its habitual, fast, concretized, uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Neural patterning. And so it's very hard to wrestle with or just use normal thought to change very durable thought patterns, thought body patterns, and habits. And so by giving more space, by giving this compassionate listening to ourselves and listening together, we can make the space for that new perspective to come in, that aha, that creative new idea uh, or remembrance that helps us solve what is needed. So thank you so much for being here with me today, for doing this practice. I was thinking in this gratitude for us doing this practice and each of us doing it, perhaps separately or separately, but in this case, really feel separate that I don't see you or know that you're there or when you're there. But my friend, long ago in our 20s, we were talking about, how does what we do matter? How do we make a difference in the world? And she said this pretty simple image, but maybe I think she might have attributed it to like Thoreau or Emerson, but that when a pebble is falls in a lake or a pond, and that ripple goes out. So if we consider ourselves maybe the first ripple, or maybe that pebble, we just fall in that one place, but the effect of what we do generates outward. Oh, and on that note, I'll share another inspiration from a young friend who I watch follow on Instagram. She gathers some of the best sayings. Chelsea Green. She had one that said, it was something like one of the best kindnesses and uh, acts of change making. I'll have to look it up and write it down, but it's that to see the sacred in another. Actually, that rings very much like what I know from the Christian teachings is to see the Christ in everyone else, in everyone. That is a profound. practice. And I think that in this sitting still and feeling, we come down to see and feel that essence of us that is that sacred essence. Ciao, ciao. Thank you. See you next week. Check out sunamoonstudio.com.